The Affliction Warlock is another class that boggles my mind in Pandaria because it got a huge buff even though they were already one of the best classes in the game. So yes, Affliction is gonna dominate this expansion. It was already gonna dominate and now it will dominate even more. They got 50% buff, 20% buff, 50% buff, 100% buff. So there you go. You wanna melt a boss like a popsicle, you play Affliction. And this is how you play it. Our defensive talent is gonna be the Soul Leech. It is just the same Void Walker shield, but you can pop it whenever you want. It's just the shield is really good. Then for the sustain talent, we're gonna take Mortal Coil, 15% HP. We are gonna need that HP, okay? Then we are also gonna take Soul Link, which is another sustain talent. As you can see, the Warlock is very, very chunky. The thing about Soul Link, our pet is gonna take 20% of our damage, but every time we do damage, we heal our pet. So we are effectively generating HP for us. Then our mobility talent is going to be Burning Rush. It is just going to be movement speed. If the fight has some sort of CC or slow, you can go for Unbound Will. That's going to break you out of CC. Then we are going to take the Grimoire of Supremacy because it is 20% more boom boom on the demon. And then we're going to take Karkimon's Darkness. That's going to matter for our rotation in a minute. It is more boom boom. Is that good enough for you? You are too good for the boom boom? Is that it? Now for the Glyphs, we're going to go over the mandatory ones. Glyph of Eternal Resolve is going to give us more uptime on our dots. It's going to make them longer. And that means we can do more spells. And more spells, more boom boom. We are also going to take Glyph of Siphon Life because once again, the entire identity of the Affliction Warlock is we are pretty much freaking immortal. So we're just going to get more HP out of that. And then the third Glyph is actually not that good. There is nothing great here. A lot of people, especially if you are very tryhard, people go for the Glyph of Hellstone. It is just more HP in your Hellstone. I recommend you are a team player and you go for the Glyph of Soulstone. It's just going to give you a full HP res on your battle res. Remember guys, the Soulstone is a battle res now. It's just more utility. It makes more sense. There is also one minor glyph that you should take every time, and that's Glyph of Health Funnel. It is not very often that you have to Health Funnel, that's just to heal your pet, but it just becomes an instant spell and it's easier and quicker to do, so you can do it on the move. I go boom boom and I forget about my pet and I let it die, but if you actually pay attention, that could be a nice trick to have in your sleeve, and yes, we're gonna take it. The other two are useless, take whatever you want. Your stat priority is gonna be very simple. First of all, you're gonna take Intellect. Intellect is your base stat, is gonna be in every piece of gear you take. Almost every gem we take will have Intellect on it. We are gonna prioritize Intellect enchants, Intellect everything. Sadly, we cannot reforge into Intellect, but any opportunity you can get to take Intellect, that's your best stat by far. We want that spell power. We scale very strongly out of spell power. Then we're gonna take the hit cap of 15% hit. After that, we're gonna take Mastery. Mastery for Affliction is simply your dots do more damage, and our damage comes from dots. So Mastery will multiply of your Intellect, which is the base spell power of your spell, and as such, Mastery, after you get your hit cap of course, is gonna be by far your best secondary stat. If you are on the hit cap, you wanna reforce everything you can into Mastery, Mastery, Mastery. After that, you can go for Haste, especially in later tiers. Haste is very annoying. As you guys know, most of your damage is gonna come in one way or another from dots. And the only benefit you get from haste in MoP is through breakthroughs, breaking points, specific numbers of haste where you get an extra tick of that dot in between. Now, I could list all the numbers, but that's kinda silly. Just install Reforge Lite, and great add-on. I'm gonna put a link to CourseForge in the description for that add-on. It's gonna be in the Discord too. And just try to hit one of those caps, the one that is closest to where you are already. The only time where you go for haste is when you get already Mastery in a piece of gear. But you only get benefit from haste in those soft caps, your non-capped, your just in-between caps. Haste is actually pretty freaking worthless for you, so you gotta play around that. Corruption is the biggest one, okay? If you get a new breaking point for Corruption, that's actually a lot of damage. Everything else is kinda meh. And after that is gonna come Crit. Crit is useless for you. You are a dot class, crits do not proc anything, crits do not give you anything. Crit sucks. You reforge auto crit every single time. If you see a piece that has haste and crit, more often than not, that's a terrible piece. Give it to somebody else, I don't even know, like a fire mage. That guy can probably use it, I don't know. For your rotation, we're gonna put Agony on the target. It is not a curse anymore, so you can put it on top of Curse of Elements or whatever. That's pretty cool. Then we're gonna put Corruption, and then we are gonna put Unstable Affliction. After that, we gotta put Haunt on the target. It's gonna last 8 seconds. And also remember, we are gonna have Soulborn now. If you pop it, you're gonna turn your Soul Swap into a refresher of all the dots. Now here's the cool part. Soul Swap will recalculate all the damage on the dots. We talked about snapshotting before. Every time you apply a dot in MoP, at least for the Warlock, the damage of that spell is calculated on your mastery and your intellect that you have at the moment. Of course, crit is going to be calculated at every single tick, so that doesn't count, but intellect and mastery at the moment you cast it. And Soul Swap is gonna recalculate that. So that means that when you get a big proc from a trinket, or when you pop an intellect potion, or when somebody pops a cooldown, whatever the case, when you get a big spike in intellect or mastery, you can do a Soul Swap, refresh every single dot at the same time with your snapshotted very high temporary boost in intellect and mastery from your trinkets or whatever, and you are gonna do insane boom boom. You can also use it to refresh the dots manually, but either way, you gotta be snapshotting every single time that you can. Whenever you get a big proc, you should try to use Soul Swap to take advantage of that. Dots are most of your damage. Now, as a filler, we're gonna be using Malefic Grasp, but if the boss is below 20%, Drain Soul is gonna do even more damage. Now, Haunt is gonna cost you Soul Shards. I think I should have opened with this part of the discussion, but managing Soul Shards in MoP is kind of annoying. I'm gonna leave a week that's going to help you out with it, but Agony is going to slowly generate soul shards over time, and you are usually not going to have enough soul shards to keep a perfect uptime on Haunt, so once again you want to drop it when you got all the cooldowns up, when you got a big proc or whatever, so you can snapshot that extra damage on your dots. However, on the execute phase, as you guys know, Drain Soul is going to generate a ton of soul shards, so that's where your damage really takes off, because you got a 100% uptime on Haunt, and you can just Soulborn and Soul Swap all the time, and that's where you really pop it. But yes, do not be worried if you do not have a perfect uptime on Haunt. One tip that you can keep in mind actually is that if the boss has ads, or if there's like more than one target, you really want to keep Agony on more than one target, so you can generate soul shards, so you can keep Haunt on the boss. Now, the Affliction Warlock, as you guys probably know, is one of the best cleavers in the game, and it will be even stronger now, because you can put all your dots on a target. So the main target, we do Agony, Corruption, and Stable Affliction, and then with Soulborn, with Soul Swap, and that's gonna copy the dots, and then we paste them with Soul Swap Exhale, that's the recast. We're gonna paste them on a secondary target. Now, you can still copy spells without Soulborn, because it has a cooldown. You're just not gonna refresh them anymore, but you can still Soul Swap and paste them and paste them and paste them, and you can do this easily all the way to like 4 targets. 5 targets is a little tricky to keep them all up, but you can. Of course, that's gonna be your best damage that you can do, just dotting every single target that you cleave. You are gonna be generating a lot of soul shards, so you are gonna be able to put Haunt on many targets, but you are not gonna keep Haunt on all of them, so that's also normal, that's also fine. Just try to keep Haunt on as many targets as possible as well. Now, for true AoE, we're talking like more than 4 targets, more than 5 targets maybe. That's where Cleaving really breaks down. You still can use your dots at your advantage. Soulborn is gonna make it so Corruption is gonna spread with Pseudo Corruption. So we do Soulborn, then we do Pseudo Corruption, and that's gonna put a Corruption dot on every single target. After that, it is kind of annoying. Your AoE is really annoying to do. All you can really do is put Agony on as many targets as you can. You can get those soul shards. And after that, we're gonna do Unstable Affliction on one of the targets, so they have Corruption and Unstable Affliction on them, and we can just Soul Swap, copy, Soul Swap, paste, over and over and over. No, do not use Soulborn for the Soul Swap in this case. You're gonna have to refresh the dots manually when you run out. Soulborn is gonna go on cooldown to the Pseudo Corruption. That's where your damage really is. Of course, you got an amazing AoE cooldown to drop on top of this, and it is very bursty too, and that's the Infernal. You can summon an Infernal right on top of the mobs, and he's gonna do a quadrillion AoE damage on top. It doesn't really matter when you dump it, but you should dump it at the start, because it does a lot of damage on a burst, and you know, the faster you get your damage in before the mobs die, the more damage overall you're gonna do. So if it is up and the mobs have enough HP that you're gonna get decent value from your Infernal, absolutely drop the Infernal on top of them at the start of the pool of the rip. And speaking of that, there is actually 3 other important cooldowns. You got Dark Soul Misery. It is just another Bloodlust. It's literally just that. Now, because of how haste works, you should not drop it when you got Bloodlust on you. It is actually a waste of value. but you still wanna drop it whenever you got a trinket popping, or when you got a good proc or whatever, or when you're in execute phase, because you got the drain soul and you get extra shards and you do more damage on your filler period, and you get more ticks of drain soul. Just pop it on one of those situations before or after Bloodlust went out. Another DPS cooldown for single target is gonna be the Terror Guard. It is just a gigantic demon that does a ton of damage, 10-minute cooldown, just like the elemental totems or whatever. You drop it, it does a lot of damage. It will scale off your haste, so you wanna dump it either on Bloodlust or when you pop your Dark Soul, it doesn't matter which one. Now, just like in Cataclysm, we're gonna be taking the Fell Hunter pretty much every single time, unless we really need some niche weird utility for a fight or something. Now, of course, with our talents, we are taking the Grimoire of Supremacy, and that means our Fell Hunter is gonna turn into an Observer. It's really ugly. It's this thing over here, you know, the thing from like, oh, can I creeps, that ugly thing? Yeah, but it's gonna do a lot of damage, so that's what we take. Your meta gem is gonna be the Burning Primal Diamond for more intellect. Your yellow gem and your best gem overall is gonna be the Fractured Sun's Radiance for 320 even more intellect. Your red gem is gonna be the Artful Vermilion Onyx for intellect and mastery, and your blue gem is gonna be the Sensei Wild Jade. It is actually a decent alternative for a yellow socket if you need hit. Your potion is gonna be the potion of the Jade Serpent. You wanna pop this one when you pop your cooldowns and your trinkets at the same time, or in Bloodlust, you know. When you pop the CDs, you pop this thing, you get 4000 freaking intellect, and you can snapshot a ton of damage on your dots. Your flask is gonna be the Flask of the Warm Sun for, guess why we're taking this flask? We want intellect. And your food is gonna be the Mogu Fish Stew, because fish got phosphorus, and phosphorus gives you 300 intellect. Look it up. Overall, the Affliction Warlock is not my cup of tea. It will probably never be. The rotation did get simplified quite a lot from Cataclysm, and it will undoubtedly do a lot of damage now. AoE is still not great, Cleaving is amazing, and if you are the sort of person that loves Standing in Fire, or if you're the sort of raid where your healers suck, there is a lot of value for an Affliction Warlock. Absolutely there is. We are gonna be streaming the launch and preparation for Pandaria in Twitch and Kick. We are also restreaming on Kick now. All the cool kids are doing it. I'm gonna start it soon, okay? Don't forget there is weak auras in the Discord if you're a Warlock, especially for your soul shard management. There is gonna be a couple useful weak auras in the Warlock channel. And subscribe, join the Discord, and thank you for watching.